Hi, my name is Mark.
I'm from the park with my shark eating the lark.
Thank you for mocking me.
You're welcome. That's what we do, right?
And this is Lupunk's 1 Million Roses. Today we're going to talk about transplanting roses, and I'm going to explain it in about 8 points. Part of the challenge comes from my mom, who claims she is a black thumb.
No, you told me I had a black thumb. Let's get it right there.
I don't believe anybody is a black thumb.
You were the one who told me that.
So I don't believe anybody is a black thumb, but you definitely test that theory hard.
I see. You had to finish the sentence. There we go.
Yep, put that caveat in. So, here we go. How to transplant a rose in 8 steps. So what do you know about transplanting?
Well, first you have to have a rose.
That's important. Before
If
you need a rose.
Don't have a rose, then you're not going to be transplanting it.
Correct. Step 1. The biggest part of step 1 is knowing when to transplant the rose. So
does that go back to why you want to transplant the rose?
No, it's when, because there is a certain time of year that's like really good for transplanting the rose.
Okay.
And it's when your weather is cold enough that you're getting a freeze at night, but warm enough that the soil doesn't stay frozen.
The soil?
The soil, yes.
Okay,
the soil. That's the technical term, the soil.
It's too cold, you can't move.
Because it's frozen, you're not
going to move the
Yeah,
dirt.
that's not good. You also want to make sure that your rose is in dormancy. So what that means is it's hibernating. So it can have buds on it, but you don't want it leafing out of those buds. You want that temperature. The temperature is a big part. In Utah or in the US, you really want it to be less than 40 degrees during the day.
And this is Fahrenheit, not Celsius.
Yes. Below 32 at night. Or if you're one of those Celsius countries, you want below 0 at night and below 4 during the day.
Wow, that sounds really cold.
That sounds wrong, right?
Yeah, I think that is wrong.
But the rest of the world would think we're wrong. One thing you want to do, and this is really important before you dig, is you want to estimate the size of the root. So a big kind of rule of thumb with this is if you're going to move a rose, you don't want to prune it until you move it.
So can you guess what the root looks like from what you're seeing above ground?
Yes. So basically the circumference of your rose bush up above is how big your roots are down below.
Whoa, that could be huge.
Yep. And so that's how big you're going to want to make that circle when you dig up the rose. So
can you split your rose?
No, it is not a perennial. Do not split your rose.
I'm just thinking, if you got that big of a circumference, maybe you want to downsize it, but you can't split it.
No, the biggest thing is roses have a taproot and then they have fibrous lateral roots. And so those lateral roots are closer to the surface. So if you don't get the taproot and a lot of the fibrous roots, it has a bigger chance of dying.
And in case people don't know what a taproot, it's not like tap dancing, right? A taproot is
no, it is. This shows how little you know about gardening.
See?
And then you tap dance. Once you've estimated the size of your kind of roots, you're going to go and dig that other hole. And typically you want that hole a little bit bigger than the root size. And there's a place you can pull the rose. Typically above ground, you have something called a bud union, and that's where all the canes shoot out, all the stems shoot out.
Okay.
And then below that bud union is typically a part called the shank. And that shank is just a really thick stem. And so if you can get your mitts around that shank, it should be
your hands around the shank.
Step 4 is to remove that rose, and one of the big things that you want to do here is you want to try to keep as much of the dirt on the rose. So you're not just pulling it out and shaking all the dirt off the roots. You're really trying to take a section of your yard or your ground up with those roots.
Okay, and where are you going to put it when you get it out? I mean, I know you're ultimately going to put it in that hole, but let's say that hole's on the whole other side of your yard.
So that's where the tap dancing comes in. Just kidding. So step 5 is you're going to move that rose. So put it in the bucket or put it in your wheelbarrow and take it to the new hole.
Let me guess, we're on step 6 now.
Now, can you guess what step 6 is?
We're just ripping right along here.
Yep.
You put it in the hole.
6 is plant your rose. Apparently I was wrong. It was 6 steps instead of 8.
Okay. Well, if you put 7, you got to fill in the hole.
Well, 6 is plant your rose. Planting assumes sticking.
I was just trying to help you out with 8 steps. So, if 6, you put it in the hole. 7, you fill up the hole.
8 is tap dancing.
On top of it to make sure
the dirt's down. Right? So
there you go, 8 steps.
8 steps. Okay, so the biggest thing when you plant your rose is you want to pay attention to the bud union. The bud union is that part
that's above the shank.
Yeah, so it's kind of that where all your canes come out.
Look, aren't you proud of me? I actually remembered something.
You're learning. How terrifying.
Point for me.
So that's the 6 steps. Thank you. I know my mom is the more beloved out of us. Like I say all the time, people like my dad, but they love my mom. And if anybody is questioning how she looks like Candace Bergen.
Maybe.